80 days into Trump's second term, and lately, all we have been hearing about, at least for the past 9 days or so, is tariffs. It almost makes you forget about Doge. Remember back in the day when Elon Musk was slashing and burning his way through the federal government, press conferences inside the Oval Office? Today's cabinet meeting brought Elon Musk and his team back into the spotlight as he reported back just how much money they've saved the government, how much they've saved us taxpayers. Spoiler for you, those keeping score, Musk has now backpedaled on many of his initial promises.
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
I think if we try for $2 trillion, we've got a good shot at getting one.
I think we will have accomplished most of the work required to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion within that time frame.
So in that time frame, 130 days.
I'm excited to announce that we anticipate savings in FY26 from reduction of waste and fraud by $150 billion.
Okay, so for those of you who don't do math in your head, 15% of his updated $1 trillion goal, 7.5% of the original promise. Ned Ryun, American Majority founder, CEO, Christina Pascucci, former Democratic U.S. Senate candidate in the great state of California, with us now. Good to see both of you.
Me too.
Good to be with you, Leland.
Ned, start with you. The fact that we don't hear about Doge every day and celebrated by the administration, does that tell us that the slashing and burning did not go over as well with the American people as Trump thought it would?
I don't know if it's that. I think that probably what's taking place, and again, when people want to look at Doge, has it been a success or not? I mean, we're literally, 11 weeks into this project. I think they're making strides and steps in the right direction. I think what they're doing is settling in. Actually, I know for a fact that they're starting to work more closely with the GAO and OMB. So I'm actually quite optimistic that, sure, I mean, the fact of the matter is, having been in D.C. for 25 years, this wasn't going to be done in 130 days. It's not going to be done in a year and a half. They're going up against probably 100 years worth of damage. And so I think reality's kind of setting in. This is going to be much more of a long haul. But, I mean, they've already got 216,000 fewer federal employees through Doge. And moving in the right direction. So I think it's off to a great start, but there's a lot of room to grow.
Christina, two ways to look at this. One is, you know, hey, you guys only got 15%. The flip side is that's a lot better than 0%. One thing that's also stopped is the Democratic outrage about Doge. Is that because Democrats learned defending government workers, government waste was not a winning proposition?
Has the outrage stopped? I don't know. Well, it's really good to be with you, first off. Thank you for having me, Leland. And I actually don't think it's stopped to the extent that it needs to. I would love to see, as a Democrat and someone who ran as an independent Democrat for office, I would love to see Democrats focus instead on focusing on Elon Musk, focusing on getting rid of that waste, fraud, and abuse and bringing great ideas to the table. There are so many Americans right now that are desperate, that are so hungry for a political change. They feel politically homeless, and me being one of them. I mean, you talk to people on both sides of the aisle, and so I think what Democratic voters really want to see right now is more action and, you know, no more faux outrage. And what Elon did had to be done. I don't necessarily agree with all the ways in which he did it, but when you look at the root cause of how we got here, it was the inaction of both political parties for so many years. Democrats being in the lead for the majority of those years more recently when they didn't take action. And so this is a result of that. And I think the best thing we can do right now is put our work where our mouth is.
Or be honest about it. Look, drunken spending was a bipartisan issue here in Washington.
Yes.
By bipartisan, I mean they both agreed on it. So, Ned, this goes to you, and I think Christina rightly identifies something. That the flip side of what she says is that if Trump's for it, Democrats have to be against it. What is Republicans and Democrats, what is Republicans and Donald Trump's plan when Democrats finally figure out, and some will because Christina's already there is a lot of Americans who are hungry for Donald Trump's ideas, but not the chaos that comes with Donald Trump?
Well, they are. I mean, they realize there's something very wrong with the system, Leland, that, you know, we find out what kind of system sends out $250 million to 28,000 toddlers? Well, it's a system that's broken, and I'm referring to the unemployment insurance benefits that were sent out over the last 5 years. I mean, people know this system is broken. They know the system's not working on behalf of the American people. And sure, you know, when you're moving fast and breaking things, there appears to be a little bit of chaos, but the American people are looking at this going, well, at least someone's trying to do something to fix a system that's broken, and I would argue for decades has not been serving the American people.
Christina, where does this go from here for Democrats? Because you sort of rightfully point out that there are a lot of things that Donald Trump does that the middle, and I think the middle is a quite vocal middle, once done, they may not like how Donald Trump is doing it. Have you seen any Democrats other than yourself, thinking nationally prominent Democrats, who are picking up on that?
Some people talk about it, but then, I mean, you see them focusing their time on press conferences and creating new bills to counteract what President Trump's doing, instead of focusing on creating new bills to bring their ideas to the table and really address the needs of the American people. And so I'd really like to see more of that. And you just touched on something that I want to bring up is, you know, on the Republican side, they will criticize Democrats when they try to go too hard on something. One example in California that was infamous was when they said by 2035, every single car has to be electric, and then our electrical grid went down. I'm all for caring for the environment. You have to do it incrementally in a common sense way. And so when you're bringing a chainsaw to the government and you have innocent people who have dedicated their whole lives to government in the crossfires, you have to take a step back and say, okay, let's move fast, but maybe not quite as fast, because there is a need to cut this waste, fraud, and abuse, but we're going to undermine our own movement if we do it carelessly, as has been done a little bit in the last few months.
You know, one of the reasons, Ned, people watch this program is because we look into the future and oftentimes have been pretty good at telling people what's coming down the pike. And something that's going to be coming down the pike is there is going to be some huge issue, plane crash, pandemic outbreak, some kind of legal issue, some kind of law enforcement issue, whatever it is, and or food safety issue, and it is going to be in an area of government oversight that was cut by Doge. RFK Jr. on CBS this morning didn't even know what was cut in his own department. Take a listen.
You propose more than $11 billion in cuts to local and state programs addressing things like infectious disease, mental health, addiction, and childhood vaccination. Did you personally approve those cuts?
I'm not familiar with those cuts.
About $750,000 of a University of Michigan grant into adolescent diabetes was cut. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, and that's something that we'll look at.
That's not going to work out well, Ned.
It's got to be better integrated into the various departments and agencies. First of all, I think Doge is one of the most important reform movements we've seen in decades. Probably the most important reform movement we've seen since Bill Clinton and Al Gore cut over 400,000 federal employees. But it's got to be integrated better into these departments and agencies. The premise is absolutely correct. The system is broken. Got to be integrated better so you don't catch people by surprise, but say, hey, we're going to be on the same page, working together on making the right cuts.
All right, Ned, Christina, thank you both very much. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.